All right, welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're going to crack a code that has probably driven you, me, and pretty much everyone crazy at some point. I'm talking about English spelling. It feels chaotic, totally unpredictable, right? But what if I told you it's not chaos at all? What if it's actually a system with a code you can learn?
So why is English spelling so weird? I mean, we've all been there, right? You're staring at a word and your brain just freezes. Is it I before E? Why do through and though look almost the same but sound completely different? It seriously feels like a language that was designed by a committee that never actually talked to each other. Well, you know what? That frustration? It ends right now.
Okay, just look at this. One little letter, a single P, completely changes everything. Not just the spelling, but the sound of the word. You've got hoping and hopping, griping and gripping. See? That's not just some random thing. That's a clue. It's a breadcrumb. And we're going to follow these clues to unlock the whole system.
That's right. We're talking about English spelling's secret code. This isn't about some messy, broken language. It's a code. And the best part is, once you learn the logic, you can stop trying to memorize thousands of words one by one. You can start actually understanding how it all fits together. And this is the big mental shift right here. It's not about memorizing words. It's about learning the system. So forget about flashcards and just brute force. We're going to become code breakers. And I promise, by the end of this, you're going to have the keys to decode words you've never even laid eyes on before. So let's get into our first set of keys. These are the 3 big suffix rules. Think of them as the foundation. You master these 3, and honestly, you've just solved a huge chunk of all English spelling puzzles. Seriously. Okay, first up, rule number 1 is the doubling rule. Now I know, it sounds a little technical, but trust me, the pattern is super simple. Think about it like this. If you have a short, one-syllable word with one vowel that ends in one consonant, well, when you add an ending that starts with a vowel, like ing or ed, that last consonant gets a twin. It doubles up. And here's what that looks like in the wild. Rot becomes rotten. Drum becomes drummer. Strip becomes stripped. You see that pattern, right? That extra consonant is doing a really important job. It's protecting that short vowel sound. Without it, you'd get something that sounds like roten or drummer. That little double letter keeps the original sound intact. All right, time for our second key. This is the drop rule. This one's for all those words that have a silent E at the end, like hope or safe. The rule is simple. When you add an ending that starts with a vowel, that silent E just, poof, it disappears. Let's look at the evidence. Safe plus gives you safer. Hope plus ing becomes hoping. And hey, there's the answer to our little puzzle from the beginning. And shine plus ing becomes shining. It's like the E makes this noble sacrifice, stepping aside so the new suffix can join the party. And our third key rule. This one tackles that tricky letter Y. So when a word ends with a consonant and then a Y, that Y does this little switcheroo. It turns into an I before you add most endings. Now, there is one big exception, the ing ending. Turns out the letter I doesn't like to stand next to another I, so Y stays put for that one. Let's see how this builds up. Lucky becomes luckiest. Carry turns into carried. And check out loneliness. This is a great example of how the rules can stack on top of each other. First, the Y in lonely changes to an E. And then you add mess. It really is a system, isn't it? And speaking of the letter Y, let's talk about it for a second. It's kind of like a part-time vowel. And it seems to have a bit of an identity crisis. It can make 3 different vowel sounds, which, can be pretty confusing. But, you guessed it, there's a pattern here too. The key is just to see how the chaos is actually organized. So Y can make 3 main sounds. First, you've got that long I sound, like you hear in cry or multiply. Then there's the long E sound, usually at the end of words, like baby or empty. And finally, you get the short I sound, often stuck in the middle of a word, like in system or synonym. Just knowing these 3 sounds exist helps you tackle words you don't know. Okay, so we've got a handle on the shorter words, but what about the big ones? Those intimidating multi-syllable monsters that just look impossible? Well, this is where we bring out the master key, the ultimate tool, breaking words down into syllables. We're going to use this sentence right here as our little training ground. For the next minute, let's just pretend we have no idea what the words unintended or negligence mean. We're not going to guess, we're not going to skip them. We're going to decode them, piece by piece.
And here's our 4-step recipe for doing that. This is a super reliable way to break down almost any long word. First, you just look for the easy parts, any prefixes at the start or suffixes at the end. Then, you underline the vowels in the main part of the word. After that, you find the consonant patterns between those vowels. And that tells you exactly where to split the word into syllables you can actually recognize.
Okay, let's try decoding our first target, negligence. Now, at first glance, yeah, it looks pretty tough. I don't see any super obvious prefixes, so let's just jump right to step 2 of our method.
So, let's find and underline the vowels. We've got an E, an I, and then 2 more E's. Remember, these vowels are like the heart of every syllable. The consonants hanging around them are what will show us where to make our cuts.
Okay, now for steps 3 and 4. We divide the word. We see 2 consonants between the first 2 vowels, so we split them. That gives us neg. Then we see a single consonant, so we split right before it, giving us li. And that last part, gents. That's a pretty common ending. And just like that, we have it, neg, li, gents.
But hold on a second. If we try to sound that out, negligence, that doesn't sound quite right, does it? That I in the middle isn't a long I sound. And here's a little pro tip. Sometimes, in a middle syllable that doesn't get a lot of stress, the vowel sound gets kind of lazy and softens to this weak sound. It's called a schwa. So let's try that instead. Negligence. Negligence. Boom. Perfect. See? The system is amazing, but you got to be a little flexible.
So, there you have it. You've got the tools now. You've got the 3 suffix rules, you understand the sounds of Y, and you've got the 4-step method for decoding big words. You have officially cracked the code. Now let's put it all together and see how powerful this really is. I mean, just look at this. This system works for hundreds, thousands of words. Words that look really complicated, like accomplishing, or punishment, or synthetic. They all break down so neatly using these exact same rules. You can see the in and the mate, the accomplishing, the hopelessly. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's an incredibly consistent system.
So really, if you take away just one thing today, let it be this. English spelling is not random. It's not chaos. It's a system built on patterns and logic. And you don't have to be some kind of genius to figure it out. You just need the keys to the code. And now you have them. And that kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other unbreakable rules in the world, things that seem totally confusing, are actually just systems waiting for someone to find the right key? What else is out there just waiting to be understood? Thanks for cracking this code with me today.